I had a dream that I saw the Capitol building. And the steps that went down was real long. Had a patio leading out to the steps and back to the Capitol, and like two pinnacles on each side of the steps. Out of the doors of the Capitol came a lion. And this lion, it run out across the patio. And when it did, it run out on top of one of the pinnacles, and it stood and throwed its chest up and raised its head, and it looked so majestical and so noble. And it roared with a real loud roar. And I seen from the front, like they were 7 men that come out and started walking down the patio across the patio towards the steps. These men looked like some kind of rabbi or priest but I knew that these 7 men, that they were from the tribe of Judah, of Israel. And each one of them had a shofar, a ram's horn. And as they walked out, that lion was standing on that pinnacle, and they had roared. They walked out, and each one, they separated themselves like maybe 8-9 foot, something like that apart. But I knew for some reason that they were exact. If you took a tape measure, they was exactly the same distance apart, 7 sprawled out. And one by one, they blew their horns until all had blowed the 7 horns. And when that, I looked out, and in the front was a crowd of people that looked just like a sea, just as far back as you could look towards the George Washington, the Washington Monument. You could just look back just as far as you could see, and there was people. It looked like I don't know how to number the people, but there were so many, way beyond, just as far as you could see down to where that pool is, even just way back, just as far as your eyes could behold. And I seen the Washington Monument, and there was a door in the bottom of it. And out of that door, it opened up and swung to the outside. And out of that door came President Trump. And when he did, he walked up through the crowd of the people, and the people just went crazy. They started lifting up their hands and praising and magnifying God. And you could hear them, all of them was saying, Lord, I thank you for your mercy. I thank you for 4 more years. And as he walked on up towards the front, towards the steps, there was a man come out from up around the Capitol like he was hid from people. You couldn't see him, but when he come out, he manifested himself, and he had a staff in his hand. And he walked out with the staff, and them 7 other priests, rabbis from Judah, they screamed with a loud voice. The 7 did. And the man with the staff didn't say, but the 7 said that the Lion of the tribe of Judah has prevailed. Then the man with the staff, they were standing at the bottom. They gave a white mule to President Trump, And they were standing there, and all of a sudden, a great storm, like a hurricane, it blew up, and it started just so violent. And out of the hurricane came a whirlwind. And that whirlwind, it come down and sat down on top of the patio, and it started spinning. Out of the whirlwind came a man. That man walked down to the front, and he had a horn of oil in his hand, and he anointed President Trump over his head and poured it on top of his head, and said, the man with the staff and the man that come out of the whirlwind told President Trump, said, I anoint you king. I anoint you president of the United States. 4 more years. After that, I looked to the right, and there was like an alley over to my right. And I looked, and there was 2 donkeys with 2 people sitting on the donkeys. One was a woman and one was a man. And the man with the staff, he jabbed his staff down on the ground, on the bottom step, just jabbed it on the ground. And when he did that, the man that come out of the whirlwind went back up inside the whirlwind. And over to my right, the 2 donkeys died right there in the streets. And the man that was sitting on the donkey, he grabbed his chest, and he passed away, fell dead with a heart attack. The woman run inside the Capitol building. She had daggers, like some kind of throw knives that was hidden. You couldn't see them. Nobody in the public. She had like a purple dress on, and she ran out and started running in. When she got inside the Capitol, the Senate and the House and the Congress, all the politicians, she was pulling those daggers out from behind her back and just throwing them and throwing them and throwing them and throwing them. And she had one, she walked up to Nancy Pelosi, and Nancy was standing at that little desk, and her hand, and the woman jabbed it down in her hand to the podium. And when she done that, that tornado that had the man, it blew inside the doors and come inside the Capitol. Oh, thank you, Jesus. And when it blowed inside the Capitol, it was such a chaotic pressure. It's like one of these news videos you see where a tornado hit a residential area and just tore it all to pieces. That's how the inside looked. The storm, after it blowed inside, it left back out the doors, and it moved on through the land. It was just traveling like a tornado does, but it blew it on out through the land. And the man with the staff started walking out through the land. He was on foot. I went back inside the Capitol, and nobody, man, there was so many people that was gone. Nancy, she wasn't there no more. Schumer, so many other people, they wasn't there, they were gone. And then I looked around, and I was amazed, because there was a group, I don't know how many, but there was a number, a little smaller number of people that their ties wasn't even messed up. Their hair was not blown one piece out of place. They were kept through this storm. And the 2 men had said, actually before, the 2 men had said before they went, before the man stabbed his staff on the ground, and the other man was caught up in the whirlwind. They both had said at that point, said to stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. That God is fixing to work wonders. And then all this started taking place, and it was so powerful that when I woke up, I was sick in my stomach. Weak, just sick, just plumb shook at what I'd saw. I pray that this finds you to be a blessing to you. You can interpret it as you will. I believe God has his eyes on the devil. Satan will not have this country. Not now. God's gonna move. It's gonna be a great biblical power. A power of God that no one can stop. May the Lord bless you and keep you. I pray for all our leaders. I pray for everyone. I pray for all that is in our country. I pray for everyone across the world, because God is fixing to move. He's fixing to send great revival across this land. God bless you is my prayers. Pray for me when you pray. God bless.